Hey BT Big Kids parents, we are really intrigued by a very interesting virtue that we're going to be exploring in October. And it's a challenging one. It's integrity, which is choosing to be truthful in whatever you say and do. What we want our kids to understand about integrity is that who we are in private is also who we are in public. That what we live and say we believe is also what we do and say. That those things match. So that when people see us, they have the opportunity to see and experience and share the love of Jesus. It's just one of the great ways that we're sent to our friends, to the people, to our teachers, to our classrooms, everywhere. And we're going to kick that off this first week while we also celebrate Missions Fest. So we're going to be talking about missionaries and how their lives are part of their testimony. And so they can be truthful with their whole life and point people to Jesus. In the same way that Jesus talked to his disciples about being truthful when he used the illustration of the tree and its fruit, that a tree matches its fruit. And so our Start the Conversation question is going to be about our kids observing how the lives of the missionaries show the people around Village of Hope in Uganda what they believe about Jesus. We want kids to start to identify that the things that you do and say show and illustrate what it is that you believe and what it is that you hold true and what it is that you value. And then the next week, we're going to jump into the story of Naaman and Elisha's servant. Naaman has leprosy and he goes to see Elisha and then he's healed and wants to reward Elisha, and Elisha's like, no. But his servant Gehazi sees an opportunity to deceive Naaman and claim that reward for himself. And there's a lot of really hard consequences in Gehazi's life because of that. And so we're talking about when you're not truthful, you lose trust. It's hard to regain trust once it's lost. And so we want our kids to understand the value of being trustworthy and of doing what you say you're going to do. And so our Start the Conversation question is, why is it important for people to trust you? And then the next week, we are going to be talking about Daniel and his friends. If you remember, Daniel's in exile in a foreign land, and he gets told to eat all of this food that has been sacrificed to other idols. And he's not supposed to do that. So what are he and his friends going to do? Are they going to eat the food that they have to because they're in a foreign country, or are they going to trust God? And so we are going to be talking about how you can be truthful wherever you are. That it doesn't matter what place you're in, you can live out what you believe and be honest and truthful about that. And so our Start the Conversation question, we want to get kids thinking about, when is it hard to do what's right? Where are the spaces where it might be a little bit more challenging to be truthful about what you believe? And then the next week, it's one of my favorite stories. It's the fiery furnace with Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. And so they get thrown in the furnace, and when the king looks in, he doesn't see 3 people in the furnace, he sees 4. The 4th one is God. We want our kids to understand that when you do what's right, people see God. That people see who God is by what we do and what we say. And that is one more way that we get to worship God with our lives. And so our Start the Conversation question is, when has someone helped you see God? We want kids to start thinking about their experiences of when somebody has helped them see God, to understand the value of what that is, and that they too are sent to help people see God. And then the last week, we're going to wrap up the month talking about Philippians 4, verses 8 and 9, and about how what we focus on is so important to us remembering what is true. All throughout our days, there's all these different things that are grabbing for our attention. But when we focus on what is true, we can remember what's most important. We can remember who we are in Christ. And that's what we want for our kids. So the bottom line is focus on what's true, because then it's easier to live out and to see when we have a hard choice to make, what the wise choice is. And so our Start the Conversation question is, what do you spend the most time thinking about? We want kids to start connecting the fact that their thought life has a lot to do with their worship life, has to do a lot with what they do and what they say. And so as Paul is reminding us to focus on what is true, it's a great opportunity for us to remember that and to be like, do we actually practice that? And that is our month of October. It's going to be a challenging month, but it's going to offer a lot of great avenues for conversation, and we hope that you enjoy being able to have those conversations with your kid and to talk about how the choices and the things that they do and they say can point people to God. It's just one more way that we can live sent lives. So happy October. We hope fall is coming, y'all.